This week's Parashat Kitetze Milchama Loivecha. The parasha starts with one of the most phenomenal portions of our Torah, the mitzvah, the halacha of the Eshet Yefat Toar, that in the time of war, a Jewish soldier goes to war and he falls in love with a maid from the foe, from our enemies. He sees this beautiful woman. Chazal even say that that was the custom, that the women of the armies used to decorate themselves in order to awaken this lust, in order to sidetrack the soldiers. So it was more common thing that would occur, that a soldier might be infatuated with this. Again, after they win the battle, we overcome our foes and become infatuated with this non-Jewish woman. Not only non-Jewish, she's also from the enemy. But he falls in love with her, and there's again a very wondrous approach of how the Torah rules what a person is permitted to do and not to, what process he needs to go through with this woman in order to really be able to wed her, to marry her. So he brings her into his home, and she needs to take off this gown, this special gown, and all the decorations, all the makeup and all of the jewelry that they put on to make her look extremely, extremely beautiful. She needs to take all that off and sit and mourn her family that she lost in the war, mourn the loss of her nation that she lost the war, and she needs to mourn in his home for a month. And after a month that she's mourning in his home, if he's still infatuated, there are many details. This was just briefly going over it. Then he can marry her, and she converts and she becomes his wife. And this is again a very fabulous portion of the parasha, very many details, and there are many Torah and Chasidut about it. And also the Ishbitzer, he also has his take on this. Now, like we customarily do here, we'll focus on one point within the contemplation, the meditation that the Ishbitzer mentions here. And he says in so many words that there are infinite lusts in life, again, different variety of lusts. The person, maybe one of the most fundamental experiences of human existence is lust. The person has wills, he has yearnings to all sorts of things. He wants a popsicle, he wants this woman, he wants an abundance of money or of estates, of assets. He wants things. He wants friends. He wants family. Our entire existence, the experience of existence, maybe more than any other experience, is driven by a variety of lusts, of wills. Now, how do I know if any lust, this word, even the word lust, is in a sense synonym with a derogatory concept? Like, it seems that it's accustomed. We've accustomed ourselves to ring that this is something not good. Now, why is that the case? So you could say that lustfulness, it tends to be very self-centered. So that's why people see it that way. But as the Ishbitzer explains here, there's actually two archetypes or prototypes of different types of lust. One is very good and one is not good. Now, in order to explain it, we need to contemplate on the core of any lust. Why is it that the most typical experience of life is these wills that we experience? And then if we understand what's driving, like the center point, what's the fusion in the middle of all of our lusts that's driving our lust, then we can understand how to lust correctly and towards what to lust correctly. I mean, obviously, this is maybe the strongest drive in a person's life. I mean, this example here, the sexual drive is definitely one of the most powerful manifestations of lust. But not only the sexual drive, in general, a person having a drive, wanting something, aspiring, yearning. So this is what drives the world forward. So we definitely don't want to turn this off or turn this down. But on the other hand, it can also drive a person right off the cliff, as we all know. So we want to harness it correctly. And in order to do that, we need to understand the core, what is set in the center of all of these wills, the yearnings that we experience. Again, so in very brief terms, what he explains is that a person inherently, not all of creation, every person is a creation. Hashem is creating us, ex nihilo, something from nothing. So inherently, our existence, we didn't create ourselves. And we all experience somewhere in the core, in the semi-conscious experience of our existence, the nilo, which is in the bottom of our existence, the nothingness. We've all been again, existed into existence from nothing, and therefore our true personal take on reality is nothingness. All of our reality is granted to us. We can't exist ourselves. We can't create ourselves. And somewhere in the core of our existence, we feel that nothingness. So more than lust, prior to lust, more seminal than will, what a person is actually experiencing in the core of his existence is an emptiness. He's experiencing an existential emptiness, like the core of nothingness, which is what he is. And that core of nothingness functions like a vacuum. It's like if you empty a cylinder, then the vacuum it causes a sucking, a yearning. All of our experience of wanting something is actually the vacuum of our existence, in a sense. That we're empty to the core, and we're somewhat aware of that, and that emptiness drives a constant, infinite aspiration to answer that calling, answer that emptiness. Again, treat it, do something about it. Now, in how we understand our emptiness defines what it is that we find ourselves driven towards. So all of our drives in life are driven from this emptiness, and the way we're driven depends on how we react. And this is a very subconscious reaction. It's very, very deep in the basis of who we are. So it's not necessarily something that we have worded out in our mind or that we've thought about. There's no conspiracy going on. But still, on a very subconscious level, the way we intuitively react, again, psychologically react to the experience of emptiness defines and determines how all of our yearnings and wills, where this vacuum sucks towards, where is it driving us towards. Now, in so many words, a bad lust is driven from a misunderstanding of a person's emptiness. A person, again, senses his hollow self, in a sense, and he doesn't feel comfortable about it. And now that's understandable. It's not a very pleasant feeling to be nothing, to feel that I'm nothing, I'm worthless, I'm empty. All these words, so we're constantly trying to not think about that, but it's there, it's looming in the background, and because we feel it, we find ourselves, because it's uncomfortable, and we don't want to view ourselves that way. We don't want to tell ourselves that we're an empty entity. So we want to think of ourselves as something full, self-containing, self-sustained. It gives us a more stable experience, a more stable image of how we want to think about ourselves. So what we find ourselves constantly driven to do is to try and solve this problem of emptiness. And all of our aspirations in life are all different, a variety of attempts to fill the void. If I have this, then I'll be full. If I have that, then I'll be full. If I just buy that car, then I'll go back to my full sense. I'll stop feeling this emptiness. And when I get that, it doesn't work. Okay, so maybe I need the yellow car, not the red car. Again, those are very superficial examples, but all of our lusts in life, even I want to be a father, I want to have a family, I want to be rich, whatever it is, that it's driven, if it's driven from an aspiration to subdue the emptiness and from a delusion that if I just have something, I'll stop being empty, then it's a bad lust, again, because it's driven from a misunderstanding. It's driven from a view, a misconception that sees my experience of emptiness as a local phenomenon. I don't realize the existential nature of this feeling. Instead of understanding that the reason we all feel this emptiness is because we actually are nothing. We don't exist ourselves. We are created ex nihilo, and the nihilo is wedged in the core of our reality. So there's no way to solve the emptiness. It's not something solvable. It's not a problem. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not a problem that needs to be solved. What does it need to? What is it? It's still not so pleasant to be empty. But what we're actually aspiring to from that emptiness is to be existed. We're looking to sense that He who contains us, He who creates us, He who grants us reality, it can be counted on. That we can feel that there's something that's filling our emptiness. An example we use very often for this is like the way a child yearns to his mother, like a baby, an infant. That he cries, he's hungry, but he's not looking to quench his thirst. He's not looking to imagine that he doesn't need anything. The opposite. He's looking to make sure that his mother is there, that he's being carried, that he's being sustained. Again, his sense of fullness, being full, it's not a sense of not needing, it's a sense of confidence. And when he's happy in his mother's bosom, it's because not because he developed a delusion that he doesn't need anything from anybody and he's full in of himself and I don't need anyone. No. A baby, he cries because he feels that he's maybe been deserted. He feels some hunger. He feels his emptiness. It's like, wait, who's going to take care of me? So immediately he cries. And then when his mother picks him up, so he feels taken care of. Now, it doesn't subdue, it doesn't change his sense of lacking. He still feels existentially lacking, but he's happy because he feels that there's someone carrying him. There's someone, again, embracing his lacking. And so he's calm. He's calm with his lacking. So his sustenance doesn't negate his feeling of personal emptiness. The opposite is true. It even enhances it. The more he feels that his mother is carrying him and cultivating him, caring for him, the more he's capable, he has the confidence to admit to himself how needy he is. So not only do these two experiences for an infant not deduce each other, they even enhance each other. The more his mother carries him, the more he's capable of realizing his neediness, and then the happier he is in his mother's bosom. So his neediness and his fulfillment don't counter each other. But a bad yearning, and what we develop over time, is that the more we see this emptiness as a problem that needs to be solved, the more we aspire to fulfill it in a way that we don't need anymore. We want again to negate the neediness. We want to be full so that we can sense that we don't need. We don't want to feel needy and carried because we see our neediness as something solvable. So again, this is a very deep and broad concept in Chasidut that we're saying very briefly. But again, if you can fathom the brief idea, then the way I experience my hollow, my emptiness, determines the direction that the vacuum aspires. So if I understand my emptiness as something solvable, then I find myself constantly seeking out solutions. Maybe this will solve my problem. This will solve my problem. So the more I realize that it's not a problem, it's not solvable, it's existential, the more I find myself aspiring for entities that will express to me that Hashem is carrying me. I'm not looking to take personal volume from what I receive. The opposite. I'm enjoying how what I receive from Hashem expresses His caring, and I need His caring because of how needy I am. So it doesn't negate my neediness; it even enhances my neediness. And this is yearning in a correct manner. And this is what the Ishbitzer says about this beautiful portion of the Torah. That initially, when a person, like this very fascinating story. A Jewish soldier, he goes out to war, he's fighting and wherever he's fighting, and he finds a woman and he feels a yearning towards her, like a connection. He's fallen in love. Now, how does he know? Is this just an egocentric attempt to take her, to conquer her, so that I can feel that I have more, I don't need anything from anyone? Is this a fallen lust, or is this a true lust? So this is how the Ishbitzer explains it. The process of peeling off the external layers of what it is that you're lusting, it exposes the core, if there is a core. So if there is a core and it's something true that this expresses to you, and that could very well be that this Jewish soldier, he saw, like all of us, we're all Jewish soldiers, we're all sent out to this reality in order to reveal HaKadosh Baruch Hu in every single scenario of life and every single artifact and everything in reality. So, but when we yearn to something, then the question has to be asked: am I yearning because of how this expresses Hashem to me, or the opposite? Am I yearning because I think that if I just have that, then I won't need Hashem anymore at all? So anything I try to conquer, I try to digest, I try to devour, it's either I'm looking to devour it in order to stop needing Hashem, to stop feeling needy, and again develop this delusion I don't need anything from anyone, or the opposite. I'm looking to devour it, to contain it, because it expresses how Hashem contains my neediness. So it's enhancing my neediness. Yeah, but how do I know which one of these lusts is being expressed? So like we said, what determines it is how I experience my emptiness, my drive, the core of what's driving all of my needs and all of my wills in life. But in order to refine this and figure it out in a specific scenario, I need to peel off all the external layers of that which I'm driven towards. And if I still feel an intrinsic connection, then I'm connected to the core of what I'm drawn towards. And then it's expressing to me that this is what Hashem appears to me in this thing. There's shaychus, that's the word. I have a belonging to this, which is what I felt in the first place. But again, is it a true belonging? So that depends. If I peel off all the layers that appear to grant me independence and volume and strength, but I'm still drawn to it, then I'm being drawn to the presence of Hashem, not to my personal gain, not to my personal enhancements of self. And then it's a wonderful thing. Not only is it a wonderful thing, it's the most wonderful thing, because it's redeeming a spark out of reality. And that's the truth of all of reality, that the truth is that everything is an expression of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Every person in the world, every Jewish or non-Jewish person, every artifact in the world, everything is an expression of Hashem. But in order for me to expose that, I need to be drawn to it as an expression of Hashem and not as something that may enhance my expression of self. So I have to first peel off the layers that cultivate my external aspirations. And if I'm still drawn to it, then that's a sign that it's really a calling that's connected to my core of connection to Hashem. Then it's a good thing. That's how he explains this story of the Eshet Yifat. But this Eshet Yifat is explained in many other places in Chasidut. It's an archetype for any person in the world. You go out to the world and you find yourself drawn to things, even if it's something to eat. I go by a restaurant or a calling. I want to be a musician. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I'm drawn to things. And I could be drawn because of part of my fallen delusions, that I'm aspiring that these faculties will grant me independence from Hashem. I won't need anything from anybody anymore. Or, if I'm more sensitive, I'm more refined, then I could be drawn to it for the opposite reason. I'm drawn to it because this is where I feel that Hashem is carrying me the most. So not only will it not diminish my connection to Hashem, it will enhance my connection to Hashem. That's a wonderful thing. But I need to be able to make that differentiation. I need to be able to, in my life, assess correctly, why is it that I'm drawn to this entity here that's drawing me. And when I can do that, then the biggest blessing in the world is to be able to be drawn. And then your lust is a wonderful thing. All of your strength can be funneled correctly to heighten and enhance your connection with Hashem and how He appears to you in the way He sustains you in the world. In the food He gives you, the sustenance He gives you, your wife, your children, your family. They're all expressions, again, it's like a child yearning to see how much his parents care. And everything they give him expresses their caring. But if he's a fallen child, then anything he gets from his parents makes him less dependent on him. So now I don't need you anymore. So that's not what we want. It's a bad thing. But everything we want, we need to refine. Is this what it's giving me, or is this what it's giving me? So B'ezrat Hashem, we should bless ourselves, all of us, that we manage to have enough clarity to choose correctly, which means choosing to see Hashem inside everything we're given. B'ezrat Hashem. Shavua Tov.